Hello, welcome back to my channel. Antoinette here. It's time for part 2 of the hashtag Tea Shop Tarot, which was my, in a roundabout way, a VR response to the coffee house decks from Amidst the Grey. So I've done part 1, which is Tea Shop Tarot, because I decided that for the tea lovers out there, we needed some tea beverages to help us understand the decks a bit better, and then it took me on to food. So I had sort of a vague idea that tea shops in England are going to be quintessentially British. Tea around the world seems to be very different to tea here. Not that I've been everywhere in the world, so don't quote me. That's just my uneducated bias at this point in time. But I would love for you to put down in comments below if you drink your tea the way that we do. So making a proper cup of tea with cow's milk, or these days I tend to use almond milk, to be fair, but in a nice porcelain teacup for any time of day. Whereas I've noticed that the rest of the world and Europe seems to be predominantly coffee drinkers, and I'm not one of those. So with our tea shops here, we also have some set foods on the menu that come hand in hand with the tea shop. And there's, if you go to a tea shop, there's probably a bunch of things you're going to expect to see on a menu. So my tea shop part 2 tag is exactly that. It's the food to go with the beverages that we've done. So it's in my journal. I've popped them in there. So I've written both there. Sorry, that's my little teapot that I've just got on the side for show. It's a loose leaf teapot, which I've shown before. So you pop I think you could probably put coffee in there, to be fair, if you really want to heathen my teapot, but it's my teapot. And going with the quintessentially British kind of jumping off point here. So deck number 1 is going to be the British cucumber sandwich, which will be a light reader with a refreshing palate. And I don't know of anywhere else that has cucumber sandwiches, so I'm calling that the quintessential British. And it normally comes with the afternoon tea, a very classic afternoon tea that we have here with, jam, cream, scones, and lots of lovely cakes and sandwiches to select from. So for this one, a light reader, I've gone with a light deck. So I'm going with Lily White Tarot, because I find it quite refreshing. I have a Shiloh Thompson, can't remember her name. Oh dear. I have a Shiloh deck. That would also have gone quite nicely here. And as we start off exactly with a nice dark one, but it's the kind of watercolour and the light space in this one. I do have a deck in a tin actually that might have done this one just as much good. It's one that people don't talk about. Zurich, that's it, the Zurich Tarot. Probably could have done here as well. But yeah, so I picked the Lily White for prompt number 1. It's just quite refreshing, considering, because most of my decks I think are very brightly coloured, very zesty, very zingy, and there aren't that many. I don't think I have that many that are subdued in colour palette, or less is more, minimalist. Now then, so for prompt number 2, I've picked a pork pie. No nonsense deck that goes straight to the point. I have 2 that could have done this one. One is the Deviant Moon, because it is pretty no nonsense, but I've been trying to not pull out the same old decks, although I feel like I'm still pulling out the same old decks, and I've gone with the Aliman Tarot instead, because it gets to the point. As I've said in many videos now, it gets to the nitty gritty. So it goes straight to the finer detail of things rather than skirting around the issue. So I thought we'd pull the Aliman Tarot. This is the original, not original version because it's my version, but it's the the first one, not the one that came out recently with all the other decks and oracles that you could buy, which I did put my name down for. And then because I have this one and I like it so much, I took my name off, because why would I need another 300 cards with random backs and things when I've got a deck that works perfectly well, is what I decided. This one scratches my itch. So This is my pork pie deck. Now, pork pies, to be fair, aren't on the menu in the areas in which I live, but I should imagine other parts of the UK they probably are, because they are a staple part of foods, lunches, snacks for certain areas of the country. Excuse me. Right, prompt number three is the afternoon sandwiches, and traditionally they should be cut into fingers. So this is deck pairs to fill a hole. So just a deck pair to fill a hole for whatever reason you want them. And I've just put these two on the table, Cosmic Seed and the Oracle of the Rose. There's some oracles in here for people that were unsure about whether they wanted to do oracles or not. And I've talked about this one, it's the version 2nd edition. And sorry, this is here just for some visual prompting, and somebody did quite rightly spot it is the Unwinding by, is it Jackie Morris? Yeah, which is a lovely book for having with your cup of tea to contemplate the afternoon with. So just for the sake of pairs and prompts and filling a hole, I think these two go really nicely together, and that's the only reason they're here. Sometimes, when you have afternoon tea, there's different sandwich fillings, and you often look at them and wonder, what on earth are they? Why are they on my plate? And I must admit, peanut butter and jelly jam was one of those types of sandwiches as I was growing up. I was like, who does this? Fish finger sandwiches, again, who does that? But they're all things that happen. So just to fill a hole, people like them, they enjoy them. Banana sandwiches, sliced oranges on brown bread. So here we go. So just to fill the hole is the Oracle and the Tarot, because they're just sumptuous and a bit delicious looking. Really, something to get the taste buds flowing. So that's that one. And as we are now layering up the foods, that's what the next prompt is going to be. So for prompt number 4, I'm thinking more along the lines of the cream tea platter. So the multi-layered cream tea platter that comes out when you go off to treat yourself for a cream tea or an afternoon tea. That's what I'm talking about, all the layers. So I have bought lots of decks just for the sake of layering. Because I thought, why not? So these ones, let's move my teapot out of the way a little bit. Let's have a look. So these aren't ones that, if you've been following the channel, you'll know about these ones. If you haven't, then yes, they will be new to you from my perspective. But yeah, we have, the Baroque Tarot. This one, not the one with the brown borders or the florals, because I understand that there's two. So this is Lamucci's Baroque, and there's another something Baroque. The Baroque, I think it's called. Or Baroque. Not quite Barocca. So we have this one. And then on top of this one, I found the stretch tarot layers quite nicely. So we're just going to, for sakes here, pop a few cards down so that you've got an idea of what we're looking at. We have our stretch, and then, because I like to add a bit more, we can pop some, bring you out of shot a bit. I could then pop some Zamas down to get a wider reading on what's going on. And I might then choose to, so I'm just running through the layers of my cream tea here, and I might choose to pop a few more down because I'm not quite sure what's going on. So we might add some of the Samarami Tarot just to see what else we're expecting here. It's obviously a layered up reading, a very layered up reading, and one that you'd have fun and take your time with. Not like I'm doing, I'm just slapping them down. And then I do find it sometimes quite fun to pull out Millie and just get a flavour of what she's got. So however many cards she spits out at me, I usually run around the edges or the sides of my spread. So there is a nice flavoursome palette of card decks to get the old taste buds going and to really fill you up, basically. I think that a spread like this is going to fill you up for a little while. I don't think you're going to need to do much else for a bit, are you? So yeah, right, let me just clear this up. Okay, I'm back, so let's bring you back down again. I've got those ones all put away nicely. So number 5, I'm thinking a Black Forest gateaux. So that used to be a very staple classic that you'd see in any cake shops, tea shops. And this is going to be a seductive deck for your inner dark side. So I've got a deck that I haven't really played with much here. So I thought we'd try this one. And it is by Lilith&Machine. I think that's actually the name of the deck as well, Lilith&Machine, to be honest. So this is a earthy deck. So this is my seductive dark side because I don't have enough of these. I just think it's a really intriguing deck. It's linen cardstock. So this is my Black Forest gateaux. Lots of dark kind of cherry underlay, should we say, for the dark forest gateaux, Black Forest gateaux. And yeah, there's a lot of red heads in this as well, which gives it that pop of colour. And of course, now that I'm going to try and flip through the deck and find you more than just the one that we've seen, I'm not going to see any. I know the court cards, I think it was for the wands specifically. There we go, a lot of red heads in the wand suit. There we go. Oh, have I not? I haven't shuffled it. Amazing. I could have just gone to the wand suit. There we are. So yeah, my Black Forest gateaux on the side. So number 6, another kind of classic that you see in cake shops, although I'm not sure it's going out of favour now, is the old coffee and walnut cake. So your earthy deck to help ground your senses. So what grounds your senses? I've gone with the out of hand tarot for this one because of the perspective on which the deck works. I've trimmed and I've edged this one because I didn't need all the borders and I just felt it was a bit big. So it came with a yellow, I think, originally, if I remember rightly, but I have re-edged the whole thing myself. So yeah, because it comes from the hand, so I feel like the grounding is, it grounds you into the card from this aspect. So you're looking at the deck as if you are the person undertaking, especially here with the Hermit. So you're undertaking the task at hand that the card is discussing. So that's why I've decided this is my coffee and walnut cake. I could have gone in a completely different direction with coffee and walnut, to be fair. Could have gone down the coffee route, a bit bitter and a bit, not quite my palate. But yeah, I just thought, the walnuts, nice and earthy, grounding energies. So there we are. The Out of Hand Tarot by Jamie Sawyer. I am sorry, this one is definitely out of print. Please don't buy the knockoffs. I don't support shops that do that. I kind of encourage you to not, because that's why these things are now going out of print, sadly. Deck number 7, the Victoria Sponge. If you're familiar, we have a Victoria Sponge, 2 layers of sponge, jam and cream, and then dusting on top. So the Victoria Sponge, a grand old favourite that always hits the spot. So this isn't going to be everyone's grand old favourite, but I've noticed it's a favourite when it comes out. And this is Madame Wilhelmina. For me, it hits the spot for the times of my, year that I'm using it. So it's indie deck. It goes in and out of print about once every 2 years or something. I think there's a very small, limited print run order that gets put through via her website. But she's not very well, and that's why it's limited to when it comes in and out. But it's a good deck. I like this one. So this is my Victoria Sponge. And also because, to be fair, it's based in old artwork. So this isn't Victorian era for me, but it brings that, when I think of like Queen Victoria and years beyond that. This is sort of attire and fancifulness that I think of, you know, all the way back to Queen Antoinette, although her story is a little bit sadder, with her, you know, let them eat cake, mocking references and whatnot. But again, cake, the hair, the outfits, the decadence of the basic Victoria sponge. How to make something basic into something very fancy. So that's my Victoria sponge. Now prompt number 8 is a bite-sized, so I was thinking like a bite-sized, either cake or pasty, but I would go with pasties because I'm more savoury toothed these days. And when I say pasty, I'm thinking of the ones that my gran used to make. So it's a homemade recipe that my gran would have done, and it's not really a pasty as in the traditional British sense of pasty. It's one that she made coming from Estonia. So it's more like a little pastry, savoury pastry really. So I'm going with the mini deck that you can take with you, because I used to load my pockets up and take them on the run with me. And nothing delights me more than to see a little miniature pasty on the side of my layered up cream tea cake plate. And I've gone with, no surprise, the Triumph's Pip Parade Tarot from Gateaux on Etsy, or Order of the Oarman, I think might be the other name that it runs under. And the artwork is by Scott Toxic. I keep wanting to say Toxic Scott. Now I don't know if Toxic Scott was a garbage pail name from years ago, but I think it's Scott Toxic. But that's why, if I ever, you know, do that wrong and you happen to be watching and you're wondering, what is she talking about? I just thought I'd explain myself. So this is my bite size on the go. Fills many holes. So it will fill a, you know, 52 card pickup. It will fill a Majors Only read. It will fill a tarot deck read. It will fill a Pips read. Game of Slap, Rummy, Pontoon, whatever you want. So it fills many holes, and it's handy for grab and goes. So this is my bite size. Now the next one is the vol au vent. I don't know when this became a British thing, but it did. And this is a controversial one, okay? So if you don't want to do this, you can all leave this one out, and I perfectly understand, because I wasn't going to do it either. So the vol au vent, all show no substance, or overpackaged. So go with whichever you want to do with this one. So I know some decks look all show and no substance, others have so much packaging that we all complain about them. And I found one. I found a deck that's overpackaged. So it's the tarot set. Look at this. To get into it, I've got to take this off. I've got the book here, and then that's nothing. There's nothing underneath that. So I have the book. This is a really good book, actually. It's a really interesting book. So although I'm mocking the packaging, this is where something could have been half its size. I don't know what was in there. It might have been a bag or a cloth. So this was my father-in-law's deck. How do you get this stuff out? Do you see what I mean? All this packaging. If we complain about packaging today, this is another level packaging. But this is a great Marseille deck. She says, I like the backs. I mean, you know, I'm no Marseille fan. I couldn't tell you what type of Marseille this is. I don't know off the top of my head if this is a type 1 or a type 2. I don't know what deck it's following. Marsha, if you're watching, any ideas? My knowledgeable friend of historical decks. It's no Sabila, I can tell you that. So yeah, so we have this one. And I just realised I've taken that whole thing out of. Anyway, so I've taken it all out of. I'd reset it, because I haven't used it yet, so I'd reset it. So yeah, this is my vol au vent deck. I think it's like 90 might be like a 97-ish type one. I know I've done a walkthrough of it. There's a publication on there, I'm sure, but I can't remember now off the top of my head. So there we go, my Volavant. And then I've got to bring it on back in, so you've got the camera focusing. Number 10 is my jam tart. So bring you down again. Got cold fingers. The camera's not working. My jam tart, there's only one, and it rhymes with tart. It's going to be hearts. That doesn't quite do it, does it? But Queen Alice Tarot by Dame Darcy, because how can you not have a tea party deck as a tea party, right? So that's why this one's here, because like Jam Tart, Queen of Hearts, Garden Party, Mad Hatter's Tea Party, all the synonymous things that come to mind with this deck. We have roses, very British. Here we have some more hearts for our cups. So yeah, this is my jam tart. I was also tempted to do a lemon curd tart. Is it a lemon curd tart? We had like marmalade. Used to get strawberry, blackberry, and lemon tarts. No, they were just called tarts actually. So yeah, there we go. And then on the talking of lemon, I went with a lemon drizzle slice. Oh, I do like a lemon drizzle slice. So a deck that occasionally catches you off guard with its messages when it's overly sweet to start with. Another Jamie Sawyer deck, so Sawyer's Path. This one, my favourite backs, one of my favourite backs. So this one has beautiful bright colours. It's very summery. Lemon drizzle cake reminds me of summer as well. So it has those feelings and vibes to it. And because it's all of those things, you know, like any tarot deck, it tells you something you don't want to know. You're not really in the mood for it, are you? You're completely off guard. And with it being kind of an RWS based deck, look at that lovely card. I thought, yeah, this one. There's only one that can do this one, and here we are. Sorry, I hope I'm not making you all feel sick with the way I'm doing this, because I just realised I'm moving one hand and not the other. It's not giving you a very clear picture, is it? Probably should be doing it the other way around. Anyway, there you go. There is my lemon drizzle cake. And then the final prompt, number 12 on my food list. So for number 12, I put French fancies. Oh, I do love a French fancy. And I'm not the only one. Everyone's favourite kind of deck. So a French fancy is a slightly fancier take on, you know, for me, any of the cakes that I've said, it's smaller and it's more appealing to the eye. So therefore, I have decided to pick a deck that everyone seems to gravitate towards, but one that has a slight twist to it to make it fancier than its norm. Does that make sense? So the Relative Tarot. This is very RWS. There is no denying that. So many people love the RWS system, but it's got a twist to it, hasn't it? So it's got the extra drawings put in it. It's got the aged photos. So that's why I've gone with this one for my French fancy. It's a little bit more fanciful than your Pamela Coleman Smith artwork. And I'm aware there are so many versions of that out and about now. I just thought we'd take it up a notch. I do prefer this, to be fair. So yes, my French fancy. There you go, guys. That is Tea Shop Tarot Part 2. That's the food to go with the beverages. I hope we've wet your whistle. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you do choose to join in, please do tag me so that I can add you to my playlist, which I will start. And thank you to those who have actually done it already. And for everyone that's commented, it's been really nice to hear from you. And amidst the grey, for actually wetting my whistle to get this tag going. It was nice to... It's taken me a year to work out how to do it, on and off, because I haven't had time to think about it. But it was nice to actually, you know, sit down and have a go with this. And, you know, it's just lovely to play with the decks. And like Giselle from Madwitch said in her video, doesn't always have to be serious. Now, today that's what these decks mean because I've made them fit a scenario. It doesn't mean they'll always fit these scenarios. You know, tomorrow they'll have a different place to fit. Because making decks fit food and drink really is probably about as much as I can manage, but making them fit emotions and archetypes, I'm even less able to do because I think, I don't know, left brain, right brain, whatever it is, my science brain is just like, what are you doing? These are art images. How are you going to make them fit? So yeah, my creativity like flies back out of the window and I'm unable to do it. So as I say, thank you for coming on my tea shop journey with me. Love to hear from you all. Can't wait to see what you've all got, what decks you all pull out. Thoroughly enjoying seeing what people do pull and just actually mooching through your collections. To be quite honest, it's another way of mooching, isn't it? Without needing to shop. So yeah, until the next one, take care. Bye bye.